In 2005, the Conservative Party leader at that time, Michael Howard, appointed him as the very first Muslim peer in the House of Lords for the Conservative Party. Lord Shiekh founded the Conservative Muslim Forum, which is a grouping inside the Conservative Party, in 2005, and chaired it until 2014, and he is now its president. Lord Shiekh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. At the outset, I'd like to thank Councillor Halimah Khaled for a very kind invitation to come and speak here. This is the second time I visited this hotel. I think she arranged a charity organization about 2 or 3 years ago. Thank you, Councillor Khaled, for organizing this event. And we are here to discuss how we can build bridges between communities. Very topical subject. This is no departure for me. I'm a patron of 6 organizations, 6 associations, Sikh Association, Hindu Association, Muslim Association. And I'm actively involved in promoting interfaith dialogue, building bridges. And I'd like to say we should build bridges and not walls. This is very, very topical. This is where I disagree with Donald Trump when he talks about building walls. Building bridges is what we all must endeavor to achieve. This subject of building bridges is very topical, given the events which have occurred in 2016. 2016, unfortunately, was not a very good year for liberalization, and in fact, there have been problems. We had EU referendum which divided people, and this division, in fact, still prevails. In the United States, Donald Trump, during the time he was trying to become the president, he said a number of things. He talked about building a wall, he talked about stopping Muslims coming to the country, and all that was populism. And I very much hope that what he said was perhaps rhetoric, and he will not practice what he said during the presidential threat. And on both sides of the Atlantic, people have been divided, families have been divided, friends have been divided, communities have been divided. Political attitudes, I'm afraid, have become personal, and people feel bitter and frustrated. Elsewhere in the world, populism and nationalism have taken hold. Look at what's happening in Myanmar. Rohingyas have been killed, Rohingyas have been badly treated. In Hungary, we have a leader who uses the refugee crisis to further his own popularity. There's also a right-wing populist government in this year. We're going to have elections in France and in Netherlands.
Of life these days, that if you put your head above the parapet in public life, people have been emboldened to say things on social media they would never say face to face. Some of my most amusing constituency encounters are when I do meet somebody who said something on Twitter, and I remind them of it, and they'll look horribly embarrassed. And you do wonder why they have said that. They obviously think that somehow they're hidden and that they're never going to be held accountable for their views. I mean, I think that we're working overall with Twitter and Facebook and others, but unfortunately it is part of the forum, and you know, it's not acceptable, and Twitter and Facebook and others will take action but people do feel emboldened. I suppose, as a society, we need to think very hard about how we treat people in public life or public positions. I mean, I think in the NHS, there's now been an increase in the number of people being attacked, physically attacked. You know, these are doctors and nurses and paramedics who are trying to do their best, often to save lives, and people think it's acceptable to physically threaten or commit violent acts against them, and that tends to suggest that we have a very angry society, and people somehow think that this is acceptable. In terms of widening the pool of MPs, I mean, obviously at the moment we aren't selecting because we're waiting to see what happens with the boundary changes as a party. There are schemes, and I think it's where Conservative Muslim Forum, as well as organisations like Women to Win, led by Anne Jenkin, are really important. But there is no substitute. We can put out appeals and everything else, but there is no substitute. If you see somebody you think would be a great candidate, whether they are a school governor or a councillor or running their own business, there is no substitute for just one of us asking them, with exposure to the party, asking them, will they think about standing? Can we get them involved? A lot of times people have thought about it, have no idea where to start. Now, organisations like InFacts and others who are trying to fact check, we had it the same, if you remember, during the general election when we had the debates, and then people like ITN and others, BBC, were trying to fact check what people were saying and to show that whether it was right or not. I think we might have to end up doing more whether it's in schools or with young people, to get them not to be more critical. But I'm not sure it's just about young people. I mean, I have to say, I think the Daily Mail coverage, for example, of when the immigrants came over, the asylum seekers from Calais, was absolutely disgraceful and designed to hate. I'll just tell you a story. A very eminent commentator wrote in The Spectator a couple of years ago, actually. He had seen a friend of his, female friend, who was looking very down at the mouth, very worn down with the cares of life and everything else, and, oh, isn't it terrible, she said, how life is. And he saw her 6 months later, and she looked full of the joys of spring, younger, more energised, more alive. He said to her, what have you done? She said, I stopped reading the Daily Mail.
Actually,
I say no more.
Nicky's last point is a really important point, which is that all of us make choices about the media that we consume. And free media, especially online, may be free, but actually it's expensive because it still takes your time, and if it's poisoning your brain, you're reading the wrong thing. Pay to read quality media. I subscribe to The Economist, amongst other things, and I swear by it. Next question.
Can I just make one point? Just on that. I've spent a lot of time in the US, so I understand your comment about Fox News. Similarly with CNN, it's the same thing. The thing that actually concerns me is that that's breached into the UK. Yeah. So the BBC, as much as we all used to watch it and think it was fantastic, it's becoming a problem. The BBC and Sky now sensationalise things as well. Actually, the most factual news programme that you watch these days is Al Jazeera News, and it's full of UK reporters.
Just on that, the other ones to watch are children's news, because actually Newsround tries much harder to be impartial. So if you watch nothing else, watch Newsround, and short as well, so you won't be waking up to a time. But look, I think exactly as you say, it comes down to us. As consumers, the media think they are responding to consumer demand, that we want sensationalist news, that we want, headlines and everything else. I mean, if we see something in the papers, again, in terms of what can we all do, if you see something in the papers, or you see something that you have rejection to, don't sit there, make it clear that actually this is unacceptable, this is distorting facts, and you know what the true facts are of the story, again, getting that out there. We spend a lot of time doing that.
Next question.
The health service simply would not function without people who have come in from outside. And if we, and I know, I'm sorry to bang on about Brexit, but when Brexit happens, we are going to be short of staff. Why didn't Theresa May, when she went to India, say, yes, we can be more liberal with immigration from the subcontinent? Why did she say no?
Well, I think your first point is right, and it's not just the Conservative Party. I think it's politicians in general, over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, have allowed a narrative about immigration to spring up, to go unchallenged, have allowed people's worst fears to be preyed on. As I think we've got hoisting our own petard with this pledge to reduce to tens of thousands, thinking that somehow that was going to be the silver bullet that meant people will be happy. You know, I don't believe that if it's 99,000 people are happy, if it's 101,000 people are not happy. You know, it's much more sophisticated an argument than that. And I think that's why that applies to our politics more generally, which is we have some big complex issues facing us as a country, going back to social care, for example. And we're not discussing it in terms that actually I think people would expect their politicians, their MPs to be discussing it. I think Theresa May, I mean, don't forget, she has been Home Secretary for 6 years. She has been shaped by that department. She has been shaped by the pledge that was made. And I think she feels very strongly that that is a promise that has been made, that's not been kept, and she wants to do what she can to keep it. I know Lord Shiekh wants to, but I think, I have said, I think it is disappointing that we have, for example, conceded single market membership at this stage of negotiations because of the emphasis and priority given to not having free movement of people. Yes, people want there to be controlled immigration, but the way to actually control immigration is to crash our economy, and nobody is going to thank us if that were to happen. That would not be fair on people in this country. So you're absolutely right. There's a campaign group that Anna Soubry, who obviously we're in her constituency, is part of, called Migration Matters, and they are there to make that positive case, and many of us can replicate what they say. I know.
Yeah, we were discussing this question, Dr. you were making, indeed, are from abroad. And one of the things I've said in the House of Lords, in fact more than once, get our people out of this dependency culture. Get them working. You have situation where the father is unemployed, grandfather is unemployed, the boy is unemployed, and we must get these people working. And one of the things we're very, very proud of as Conservative Party is number of apprenticeships we have created. We must train our people. We must get them working. We must, I mean, at the end of the day, why do we work? We work for two reasons. One is to earn a living and also give us satisfaction. You talk to people, somebody who's not employed, somebody who's dependent on the handouts. He doesn't have much esteem. He doesn't have much esteem. The other point, I think, following on what Shaheen was mentioning, is this question of empowerment of women. This is very, very something I'm very, very keen on. You know, 51% of women between the age of 20 and 25 amongst non-Muslim is working. And the figure is about 25% for women. I've known women who, you know, women do very well at universities. Women do very well at school. But once they leave that, they tend to be, I don't know whether it's the father or husband, but we must encourage more of our women to be employed, to be employed. And that is very, very important, because I believe that she says woman is the hub of the family. She certainly is. And I like to see more of our women being gainfully employed. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call upon Halimah Khaled for the...
Our experiences. I just hope that I can continue doing something like this, and we can all continue and keep doing things like this and keep integrating with you and stop the division that is there, to make it go away and to work together. Because we're not going to always see eye to eye with everybody, but we can work together. And again, what Lord Shiekh said, and I would emphasise on education, that is the key for our children, and it does need a lot of parental supervision. It's just not you send your child to a good school, a private school, but your input is very important. I have 3 sons, and they've done extremely well. One's going to Harvard next week, and one's at Oxford now, and the youngest one's at Oxford, who's a doctor now, and then I've got one who works for McKinsey, and they've done well. But when I go back and look as to when somebody asks me, how did your children do so well, and I think it's because of the parents' input. It's not when they come home from school. You've got to make sure they've done their work. Parents' evenings are important, because I work with a lot of grassroots level women about Prevent, and I've realised that they don't understand the language, or they don't go to the parents' evening. The fathers are too busy working, and say the mother will go. The mother's watching her dramas and doesn't have that insight. The kids will not, I'm sorry, but We can't blame the society, we can't blame the environment. We've got to, the parents have got to have their input to actually focus on the children and to see what they're actually doing, and to make, you know, when they're doing it upstairs and they're in front of the computer, do random checks. My husband used to do that. Suddenly go slowly up the stairs, they'd be on the computer and he'd suddenly open that, and I'd say to him, why do you do that? He says, you have to make sure they're really studying or what are they doing. But now I look back and I think that they've done so well. And he'd suddenly go in their school bags and randomly check the books. And I'd say to him, why do you do that? And he'd say, just to keep an eye on what are they doing and what's in their bags, just so that they wouldn't know. But all of it is important. So let's all keep meeting again, and I hope so soon. And thank you everybody for coming. Can I just say one thing I forgot? On each of your tables there's a poster about the wellbeing board. As most of you will
do, because lots of the parents here, they don't know how to speak English, and some of the communities, the parents don't spend much time with the children because they're really busy at work doing their own stuff. And what you think, what we can improve, which way to bring children and parents more together, and they spend more time with the children and they can teach the children at home apart from school?
It's partly obviously about spending time with children, but it's also about making sure that children are doing their homework, that they are taking part in extra activities outside of school, or that the school puts on too. It's about going to things like parents' evenings, but also making sure you're talking to other members of the community. So perhaps learning English either via formal lessons or through other members of the community, or perhaps even learning English at the same time as your children and see who can get to be fluent first.
Thanks very much. Our question with Mohammed Afzal, same with education and children, how we can improve education between parents and children, so help parents and children work together.
To be honest, well, Nicky's actually covered all the aspects of what we need to address actually. It's all a combined relationship between parents and children. And we need to be quite focused on all this. And we need to make sure we check and balance on the homework and move forward and make sure we give time to the children. And what Nicky just mentioned, that's very crystal clear. We need to work as a team and spend time with children and make sure we check the progression, and I'm sure we'll succeed on that.
Thanks very much. Shiekh Gul, CNI News, Nottingham.